All right, hey, all you action figure fans, it's me, Justin, the Action Figure Minute, and today we're coming at you. It's been quite a long time since I've done an unboxing of a figure, and we've got a cool one today. We've got the brand new from Four Horsemen Studios, Koi. Koi's actually the narrator for the new wave, where he wrote all the captain's logs leading up to the reveal of the latest wave at G-Con, Four Horsemen Studios Legions Con 2025. Before we get to opening up Killer Koi, Fishy Fish Man, let's do a quick bio reading on his teeny tiny bio. See if we can get that in focus there. All right, Koi. A navigator from a distant land, the Amurian named Koi has spent his life traveling the seas of the world on a ship crewed by others of his race. Like all sailors, he has always avoided the area of the Great Sea where ships are said to disappear. After a great tremor shakes the world, a massive wave propels Koi's vessel towards the dangerous waters. Much to his surprise, he finds himself upon the shores of a strange continent that does not appear on any of his maps. A land with curious inhabitants who seek information from Koi about the lands beyond their own. Koi. And he looks just like a koi. How about that? So let's get right to opening up Koi. And it's been a long time since I've said this. It's been weeks, if not a month, since I've done a video, but this is the best time in the world for you to go and just tap that subscribe button. I think it's over here, or you know, you can find it. So as we're continuing to grow this channel, now immediately upon pulling Koi out, you get this little back tray, if you will. And there's a couple accessories on here. Looks like we have tails, maybe some back fins, a little gourd up here. So we'll go ahead and set that aside. Actually, we'll go ahead and pop these out. Take a look at one of his shoulder pieces. We'll go ahead and put it in front of my face there. It's been a while since I've done this, so I got to remember how to make these. There we are. So that's one of his shoulder pieces. Then we have, it looks like it's a back fin that plugs in to his back. And we could tell that by the little Mythic Legions, hold on right here, plug. And it's a very translucent plastic with the orange and black dots like a koi fish would have. Then we have his tail. And it's a nice, soft, flexy plastic. It's not bendy, I wouldn't say. It's not going to bend and hold shape, but it's a translucent plastic that from, we'll say the root of the tail is orange and it fades out to a light orange, to a yellow, to a clear white. So that's really nice work how they did that. And then we have his gourd here. The gourd is like a, we'll say it's black with a blue dry brush, heavy dry brush over the top, and then a brown stem coming out the top. So that's those accessories. Let's pull this out here. Actually, there was a second back fin, it looks like. Did I get an extra? Oh no, they're different. One is for plugging in the shoulder pauldrons, and one is if you're not going to be using the shoulder pauldrons. So that's why we have two of these. Pretty neat. I like to use the shoulder pauldrons on the great majority of my Mythic Legions figures. Okay. He did have, it looks like there was a plastic shield to block his face from getting dinged up from paint on the front of the case. And here we have Koi in the clamshell. And I had a little baggie fall out with some other pieces. Let's see what was in that baggie. All right, in the baggie we have hands, and it looks like we have some sort of, this is, I believe, his collar piece. Let's look at the collar piece first, because this is brand new. Here we are. Light brown, kind of looks like a basket that you would get with the dumplings in it from your Asian restaurants, if you will. I don't know the proper name for that. And then we have, let's see here, it looks like we have weapon holding hands. We have both, and they're koi colored. So we've got, these are horizontal, and then these ones are vertically hinged weapon holding hands. All right. We have two heads, one that comes on it, but they're basically like face plates, if you will. So here's the armored head, but you can see if I turn it around here, it's not a head as we know for a Mythic Legions line, but it seems that this faceplate must plug into the actual head of the figure, and you can swap the faceplates. Very nice. We have a spear here that I'm pretty sure we've seen this spear with the Thraxians from Cosmic Legions. Looks like it's very much like a bone on the head of the spear, the tip of the spear, if you will. And then a weathered wood. Okay. And he also has a sword. I believe we've seen this sword many, many times with our dwarven friends. All right, now let's get to taking Koi out of the package. All right, and we have Koi here, and he is impressive looking for a figure. I really like how they have this pearlescent paint you can see on his, if you will, on his chest or the fish's underbelly, but a really nice pearlescent effect that it has to shimmer in the light. And then if we flip him around to the back, he's got your very much, he has what you would expect out of a koi fish, the orange and the black dots. So very nice work on the paint job. I believe Eric Miller painted up this guy, so shout out to Eric Miller. And we can see his head has some, his head must be, it's actually the face plate. He's got a fin on the top. This is clear plastic that has a little bit of paint apps to it to go from a light orange fade up, just like his fins did. And then we have his face that has this face plate. So let's go ahead and pop that face plate off to see how that works. The head just kind of came off pretty easy, which is not bad. But as we're doing this, learning this new figure and how it operates, kind of take it slow. There we go. So this is what his head looks like without the face plate on it. So it's just a little peg at the end. Now we'll take his armored head and go ahead and pop that in there. See if it sits snug. This might be one of those heat the hole moments, it seems like, because it's not wanting to go in on this armored head so well. Yeah, I would probably recommend, especially maybe to this armored head, to maybe heat it up and then push it and snug it in, because you don't want to break these little mustache things he has going on right here, because I'm pushing on them already and I don't want to do that. Let's pop this head on here. And I don't feel like that's seated on there as it should be. I think it can go a bit more snug. So that's going to be something I'm going to heat up to push down. So heat the hole, not the pole. Heat the hole, not the pole of the head, if you will. All right. Anyway, new parts on this figure. I think that they didn't do a ton of new parts on this figure so they can get it out fast to us collectors here. So we can see that these bracers, while they look new, I guess they're probably new to Mythic Legions, but these are the Thraxians, I'm pretty sure. I haven't opened my Thraxians yet, but I'm pretty sure that these belong to the Thraxians of Cosmic Legions. This belt, this leathery belt part, as we can see it, this paddedness of his belt, if you will, or his loin piece. This might be new. I'm not 100% certain. And then what they did really neat here with his legs, there we go, is we have armored up by his knees, and then more Thraxian parts from Cosmic Legions on the lower part of his legs. And then feet and ankles. The feet are I believe the feet are brand new. I don't think these are copies from from Cosmic Legions, and the hands, I think they might be new because they are webbed. I don't think they're copies from Cosmic. So there are some new pieces in here, but definitely not 100% new by any means. But that's kind of to be expected for one of these surprise drops at Legions Con. Really, right away, I really like, look at the ankle articulation. I'm able to get those back like he is swimming. So the ankle articulation works really, really well. And while we're at it on articulation, let's talk articulation. So the head, this is one thing on some of the Mythic Legions figures. I guess it's probably on this more Thraxian body that I'm not a huge fan on. I don't like this huge gap up here with the head. Now, what we can see if we're looking at the articulation, though, is he does have a neck joint here. So he can look way down. But if we had his head on there, and the faceplate just fell off again on mine, but if we had his head on there, he's not going to be able to look that far down. So, I don't believe, let's see. I guess he can. I guess he can look pretty far down. I can stand corrected. But still, I don't really care for this giant gap here at the neck and the head just fell off again. So again, we're going to want to heat that up. All right, let's go ahead and just take his head off because that's just going to kind of keep flopping around, I feel, and we don't want to just keep talking about that. So we can get his arms up to a T-pose. They can go all the way around. We have single jointed elbows that can go, I'd say, just slightly less than 90 degrees. The hands that come on the figure are horizontally hinged. They can't really go back because they're locked in. If you look at the lower part of the Thraxian armor bracer, it's kind of locked in right there. But they can kind of pivot inward a little bit. They're still kind of locked in there by the bracer. Let's see here. No bicep cup, single jointed elbow. Can twist at the bracer. Can swivel also at the elbow. And twist at the wrist, of course. Standard Mythic Legions articulation. We can get his hips out to here, so he can do some pretty wide splits, koi splits. Bring them back. He does have a ball joint, if you will, if that's what this is called, up at the top of his hip, so he can get some swivel from his legs at his hip. And then we have single jointed knees. Maybe get a look at the back so you can see a little more. Standard Mythic Legions that we're used to. I'd say 90 degrees, if not maybe even a little better on the knee bend. Now, here's one thing that's different on this figure, since they are using these Thraxian lower legs on the lower part where his shin is. There is a cut here from the knee armor, if you will, and then just below the knee armor there's a cut where the Thraxian armor goes, and we do have a twist at the shin. So that's a bit different than your standard old school Mythic Legions figures, kind of like a newer point of articulation for Mythic Legions. And again, we already talked about the ankles, front facing pin with a rocker that work very, very well. And they're also, the ankle is on a ball. The ankle itself is on a ball. So all in all, really good articulation with this figure. I think while we have his head off, let's go ahead and put his collar on. And this collar now kind of renders, again, that neck articulation, I don't know, a little bit moot. You could still get down there a little bit. The head, again, maybe it's going to be better when I heat it up, but this thing, just there we go. That popped in there good. All right. So there we are. Now again, I like my Mythic Legions figures with the shoulder armor. So let's go ahead and give him his fin with his shoulder armor on. And it looks like we can use this collar piece with the shoulder armor. You can see it kind of slots on, so it actually helps hold that collar in place. So that's nice. Okay, let's put these shoulders on. Let's see if we need to heat these holes to put these shoulder armors in, or if they'll just go right in. That one did. Let's try out number 2. There we go. That's my koi. That's my Mythic Legions with the shoulder armor. I for the great majority of the figures, I need to have the shoulder armor on. I just like the aesthetics and the way that they look. I know they probably you know, it kind of impedes articulation maybe a little bit, but I'd rather the overall look and the aesthetic with the shoulder armor on. Now let's also switch them up. Let's take this faceplate off. And I do have it locked in there good this time. So I think with some good heat, it will help you get these pressed on there. Oh yeah. I really like our boy Koi right now. He can go swimming. There went his head. There we go. Koi is swimming. He's coming to scavenge the depths. All right. And then he also can't forget his tail. Now the tail port, I don't even know if I'm going to try. I'm going to lightly try, but I'm not going to force that because there's too many stories, too many instances out there of people just trying to jam these tail ports into the booty hole, as the Mythic Legions Cabal members like to say. They can't say butthole, so they say booty hole. So I'm going to absolutely, and this is where heat the hole, not the pole, comes from actually. So we're going to heat that hole up before I even try and jam this in here. And we're going to get that in now. It can go maybe either way, where it goes up like this, or I wonder if you can put it in down so it goes down like that. I wonder what the right way is. I'm going to have to, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to check Trevor's photos to see what he did. And then we have the gourd that we could probably hook on his belt. So let's go ahead and pause the video right now. And I'm going to go do all my heating that I want to do, especially with the head and with the tail. And I'll do some arms, some hand swaps. We'll get some weapons in there. And we'll forget about this back piece because it works the same as the other back piece. And I like the shoulder armor on my figure. So stay right there. All right, we're back. And Koi is awesome. I really love the overall look of this guy. Once I did heat the faceplate and it pops in really nicely now and it stays nice and secure, so it's definitely in there. So again, heat that faceplate a little bit if you're having issues getting it to stick to the head. The tail is actually really neat too. I plugged it in so it goes outwards like this, but you can take this tail and plug it so it goes in straight downward. Now I did heat the tail hole as well. Now maybe if he's swimming, it's going this way. But you can also, what I haven't seen people talk about here, so we have the tail, we can actually hold the metal piece and we can rotate this, the fin, around. So this is actually a whole nother piece that I'm guessing with even more heat, you can completely pop it out. So I'm going to install it back in his butthole, because I'm an adult and I can say that, right into his anus. And I'm going to go ahead and stick that right there. And now we have Koi. And I really like this little gourd piece too. It really is fitting to the character. I wish it kind of locked in here a little more. It knocks off pretty easy. But there is a loop that you can put it on his belt. There we go. So the stem of the gourd is very flimsy, so it doesn't break, but at the same time, it's kind of squiggly and it falls out easy, but it looks really nice on the figure. The staff, one thing I didn't expect with this staff, I had to heat the end of the metal harpoon end, if you will, bone harpoon end, if you will, to get it to fit onto the wooden staff. I tried wiggling it on, but it wasn't going to go unless I applied a lot of pressure. And then with too much pressure, you're at risk of breaking the connection piece. So I recommend, if you're feeling any of that, to also heat the whole of the harpoon staff, if you will. But otherwise, again, all assembled, this figure looks fantastic. Let's go ahead and swap one of these hands. Go and put his vertically hinged hand on here. Give him this sword. The hands are pretty tight, but not bad. You can definitely get the weapon in there. So we've got his horizontally hinged hand holding this weapon, his sword, dwarven-like sword. But Koi he's just absolutely badass looking. I love the armor. I love the Thraxian pieces incorporated from Cosmic on him. When he becomes available on Four Horsemen or wherever they might be in the future, I highly recommend picking Koi up. Here's another shot at his tail. So definitely, if you're a Mythic Legions fan, absolutely recommend getting Koi. He just looks tough and fun looking figure. Great paint apps from Eric Miller. Greatly approved. All right, guys. Hey, this has been your Action Figure Minute. Peace.